भांक्षी दुरुधा ऊर्धा त्रिधा भाव्यम द्विसप्तधा. Thus engaged in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Brahma entered into the world of the lotus, and as it spread all over the universe, he divided it into 3 divisions of worlds and later into 14 divisions. ततश्च आविश्य प्रविश्य भगवता कर्मणि जगत्सर्गे नियुक्तः. He then entered into the lotus, Padmakosham, and he engaged in the activity of creating the world. And he was engaged in the activity of creating the world by Bhagavan. Tamekam tridha lokatraya rupena vyabhankshit vibhaja. And then he divided that one lotus into 3 parts. That means he made 3 worlds out of one. एकेन कमलकोशेन कथं लोकत्रय सृष्टिः इति असंभावनां वारयितुं तस्य विशालतामाह द्विसप्तधा चतुर्दशलोकरूपेण उरुद्धा ततोपि बहुप्रकारेण भाव्यं भावयितुं योग्यम्. This is a quote from Sridhar Swami. Now, in order to point out that it is not impossible for him to create 3 worlds from a single lotus word, he points out that it was very extensive. It was very extensive. It was actually, it was fit to be made into 14 divisions. Chaturdasha Loka Rupena. In terms of 14 planetary systems. And even then, each one having multiple variations, modes. Ataha na tena triloki karanam chitramiti swami charana. So the respected Sridhara Swami says this and then concludes, therefore it is not astonishing that he created 3 worlds. Prathamam san nalena kamalakoshena tridha. So first he divided that lotus stem into 3. Tatas Chaturdashadha and then into 14. Tatas Surya Chandradiloka Bhedena Urudha Vipangshi. Then he divided it into even more divisions such as Surya, Chandra, and so on. Idrisham Bhavyam Dhyeyam Vairaja Upasakaihi iti anye. Some others interpret the word bhavyam here, capable of, to mean capable of being meditated, which would then mean capable of being meditated by those who engage in this Vairaja Upasana or Virat meditation. 9. एतावान् जीवलोकस्य संस्थाभेद समाहृतः धर्मस्य ह्यनिमित्तस्य विपाकः परमेष्ठ्यसौ. Lord Brahma is the most exalted personality in the universe because of his causeless devotional service unto the Lord in mature transcendental knowledge. He therefore created all the 14 planetary divisions for inhabitation by the different types of living entities. जीवलोकस्य व्यष्टिविराट् समूहस्य संस्थाभेदः प्रतिबिम्ब उचितस्थान रचना विशेष उक्तः. So it has been stated that he created all of these arrangements for the collective universe, for the world of the jivas. So particular parts of the combined universal form, which was meant for the jivas, for the population of the jivas, as appropriate um, for such pratibimba uchita sthana rachana. This reflected creation. What is this reflected creation? Okay, wait a minute. Let me see if Dr. Siddhanta Saraswati has given any explanation to this. What is this? This is text number 9. First of all, is that correctly typed? Yes, it is. Pratibimba uchita sthana rachana vishesha uktaha. He created places which are appropriate for reflections. What is this? Is this what Madhvacharya keeps talking about? He creates particular places appropriate to particular reflections. Okay, I'll get to that in a little later. ननु कथम एतावत्तां जीवानाम् एकेनैव ब्रह्मणा संस्थान निर्माणम्. How is it possible that a single Brahma creates various arrangements for all of these jivas within the universe? इत्यतः हि यस्मादसौ अनिमित्तस्य निष्कामस्य धर्मस्य तपो विद्या आदेः विपाकः परिपाकमूर्तिः एव. He is the very form of the maturity of austerities, knowledge, and so on, which constitute um, non-materialistic engagement in dharma. Tapobalena kimma shakyam vibhava. So what, for such a person, what is impossible by the strength of his austerity? Let me see if Tibimba, Prabhupada is the only one who seems to have explained it. The Supreme Lord is the reservoir of all the qualities of the living entities. The conditioned souls in the material world reflect only part of those qualities, and therefore they are sometimes called pratibimbas. These pratibimba living entities, as parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord, have inherited different portions of his original qualities, and in terms of their inheritance of those qualities, they appear as different species of life and are accommodated in different planets according to the plan of Brahma. Madhvacharya keeps talking about this reflections all the time in Mahabharata and other places also. He says, first of all, Lord Narayana is reflected in Brahma. That Brahma is reflected in Vayu. And Vayu is further reflected, reflected, reflected. It goes down, 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 and somewhere down you come to human beings. So at each stage of reflection, you have each higher stage, you have a higher facility, higher facility. And at each lower level, you have lower facility. And that point is right here. Prabhupada himself has brought it up. I don't see it in Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati's presentation also. Maharloka, Tapoloka, and Brahmaloka, Satyaloka, do not dissolve in the devastating water. This is because of the causeless devotion service rendered unto the Lord by their inhabitants, whose existence continues up to the end of Dviparartha time. Dviparartha means one full life of Brahma, when they are generally liberated from the chain of birth and death in the material world. 10. Vidrovacha. यथार्थबहुरूपस्य हरेरद्भुतकर्मणः कालाख्यं लक्षणं ब्रह्मन् यथा वर्णयनः प्रभो. Vidura inquired from Maitreya, O my Lord, O greatly learned sage, kindly describe eternal time, which is another form of the Supreme Lord, the wonderful actor. What are the symptoms of that eternal time? Please describe them to us in detail. Okay. कालाख्यया आसादितकर्मतन्त्र इति गुणेन कालानुगतेन इति कालेन सः अजः पुरुषायुषा इति तत् कालकृतवीर्येण इत्यादिभिः प्रलयसृष्ट्यादिकम्. So these are all different references to time in the third canto itself. These are all particular verses, actually. These are particular verses. We have already come across them. Where are they? इत्यादिभिः. So through verses like this, pralaya srishtyadikam purusha prayatnadikam cha kalena eva siddhyati iti vismritah kalam prichyati. Now Vidura has forgotten that the Purusha's endeavors and so on, the dissolution, creation, and so on, are actually brought about only by Kala, by the destructive force of time. So then he inquires about Kala. Yet Kalakhyam Lakshanam Swarupam Atha Abravih Tad Yathavadeva Varnaya. So you had already spoken about the characteristics and nature of time. Please explain it properly, means systematically to me. Okay. The complete universe is a manifestation of varieties of entities beginning from the atoms up to the gigantic universe itself, and all is under the control of the Supreme Lord in this form of Kala or eternal time. The controlling time has different dimensions in relation to particular physical embodiments. There is a time for atomic dissolution and a time for the universal dissolution. There is a time for the annihilation of the body of the human being, and there is a time for the annihilation of the universal body. Also, growth, development, and resultant actions all depend on the time factor. Vidura wanted to know in detail the different physical manifestations and the times of annihilation. 11. Maitreya Vacha. Guna Vyatikarakaaro Nirvishesho Pratishtitaha Purushyattad Upadanam Atmanam Leelayasrajat. Maitreya said, eternal time is the primeval source of the interactions of the three modes of material nature. It is unchangeable and limitless. It works as the instrument of the Supreme Personality of Godhead for his pastimes in the material creation. Gunanam Vyatikarat महंतादि प्रणामादेव आकारः स्वरूप ज्ञानं यस्य सः. स्वतस्तु निर्विशेष अप्रतिष्ठितः क्वापि अपर्यवसितः आद्यन्तशून्य इति अर्थः. So now here time has been described. First of all, the Supreme Lord has been described here as a source of the interactions of the modes of material nature. How is this Purusha here described? And here, okay, wait, let me look at the Anvaya. Maitreya Vacha Guna Vyatikara Akaraha Gunanam Vyatikaraha Mahadadi Parinamaha Tena Eva Akriyate Yasa Kalaha Iti Shesha. Okay, it is time itself. The first half of the verse actually deals with time. Okay, so it is by the transformation of the gunas, which means the transformation of the effects of the gunas in the form of Mahatattva and so on. Swataha tu nirvisheshaha, but by itself, it is without any specific qualities. Apratishthitaha, it has no culmination, it has no beginning, it has no end point, literally. So, which means that it has no beginning and no end. Yena nimitta bhutena srishyadikam bhavati sa kala ityaha. This is the ingredient because of which creation, maintenance, annihilation, and so on take place. This is pointed out in the second half of the verse. Sa kala eva upadanam nimitta karanam yasmin. That time itself is that which is accepted as the cause. Upadiyate nimittaya svikriyate iti upadanam. So this is not the technical upadana karana, it is actually the nimitta karana. Upadana karana means the ingredient. This is not the ingredient. This is the instrumental cause, you can say. So kale upadana nimitta karanam yasmin tam atmanam atmashakti karyatvad atmashabda vachyam vishwam asrijat. So then he created himself. The Purusha created himself. Created himself means this world. This world is a product of his own potency, and therefore it is referred to as himself. The impersonal time factor is the background of the material manifestation as the instrument of the supreme law. It is the ingredient of assistance offered to material nature. No one knows where time began and where it ends, and it is time only which can keep a record of the creation, maintenance, and destruction of the material manifestation. This time factor is the material cause of creation and is therefore a self-expansion of the personality of Godhead. Time is considered the impersonal feature of the Lord. The time factor is also explained by modern men in various ways. Some accept it almost as it is explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam. For example, in Hebrew literature, time is accepted in the same spirit as a representation of God. It is stated therein, God, who at sundry in various times and in diverse manners spake, it means spoke, in time past unto the fathers by the prophets. Metaphysically, time is distinguished by absolute and real. Absolute time is continuous and is unaffected by the speed or slowness of material things. Time is astronomically and mathematically calculated in relation to the speed, change, and life of a particular object. Actually, however, time has nothing to do with the relativities of things. Rather, everything is shaped and calculated in terms of the facility offered by time. Time is the basic measurement of the activity of our senses by which we calculate past, present, and future. But in factual calculation, time has no beginning and no end. Chanakya Pandita says that even a slight fraction of time cannot be purchased with millions of dollars, and therefore even a moment of time lost without profit must be calculated as the greatest loss in life. Time is not subject to any form of psychology, nor are the moments objective realities in themselves, but are dependent on particular experiences. Therefore, Srila Jiva Goswami concludes that the time factor is intermixed with the activities, actions, and reactions of the external energy of the Lord. The external energy or material nature works under the superintendence of the time factor as the Lord himself. And that is why material nature appears to have produced so many wonderful things in the cosmic manifestation. The Bhagavad Gita 9.10 confirms this conclusion as follows. Mayadhyakshena prakriti suyate characharam hetunanena kaunteya jagad viparivartate. Okay, okay, okay. Then next verse. Vishwam vai brahmatanmatram samsthitam Vishnumayaya Ishwarena parichinnam kalena avyaktamurtina. This cosmic manifestation is separated from the Supreme Lord as material energy by means of Kala, which is the unmanifested impersonal feature of the Lord. It is situated as the objective manifestation of the Lord under the influence of the same material energy of Vishnu. Yo Vishwam parichinnati sakala ityaha Vishwamiti. That which divides up the universe, which cuts up the universe is time. That is now brought out here. Vishwam. Vishnor Mayaya Shaktya Samyak Sthitam Idam Vishwam Brahma Tanmatram Karanam Yasya Tat Ishwarena Ishwara Prabhava Rupena Kalena Parichinnam एतावद्यति परिच्छेद विषयीकृतम् अव्यक्तामूर्तिर् यस्य इति स्वतः निर्विशेषता दर्शिता. So it is by this potency of Vishnu's Maya that this universe is properly situated. It is firmly established. Its cause is the Lord. Brahmatan matram. Karanam yasya. Wait, let me take out. This is the answer story. Vishnu Maya, Vishnu Ishwarasya Maya, Srishti Adi Shaktya Saha Samsitam Leenam Vishwam Brahmatan Matram Brahmani Vishnu Eva Tadatmyena Upapannam Sat Punaha Avyaktamurtina Avyaktamurtihi Swarupam Yasya Tena Ishwarena Tat Prabhava Rupena Kalena Parichin Pratak Prakashita Ishware Srishti Adi Hit E Vishwe Brahme E Vishwa Brahme Leen Shila. Along with the potency of the Lord's creation and so on, the universe was merged in Brahman. That Brahman is Vishnu only, the great Lord Vishnu. Tahai, Punarai, Avyakta Swarup Ishwar Prabhava Rupi Kale Dwara Pritag Rupe Prakashita Hoyach. Now, it is through the influence of Lord Vishnu, known as time, which is Avyakta, which is unmanifest, that it has again become separated, manifested separately. Swatah nirvisheshata darshita. And in that way, time is by itself without particular attributes. As stated previously by Narada before Vyasadeva, 1.5.20. Idam hi Vishwam Bhagavani Vetara. This manifested world is the self-same personality of Godhead, but it appears to be something else beyond or besides the Lord. It appears so because of its being separated from the Lord by means of Kala. It is something like the tape recorded voice of a person who is now separated from the recording. As a tape recording is situated on the tape, so the whole cosmic manifestation is situated on the material energy and appears separate from the Lord by means of Kala. The material manifestation is therefore the objective manifestation of the Supreme Lord and exhibits his impersonal features so much adored by the impersonalist philosophers. 13. Yathedanim tathagre cha paschadapyetadishrisham. As this cosmic manifestation is now, it was the same in the past and it will continue in the same way in the future. Nanu आद्यन्तयोः असत्वात् एव विश्वमिति अतः असत्यस्य विश्वस्य किं परिच्छिन्नत्वात् युक्ता इति चेत् मा एवं वाच्यम् इत्याह. Now, if you, this is an anticipated objection. The Vishwa, the universe, has a beginning and an end, because of which it must be non-existing or false. So then, where is the question of this false universe being divided? In response to that, he says, no, uh, he intends to say, no, don't think like this. Don't say this. Agre, Purva Mahapralayasya Adavapi, Etad Vishwam Asideva. Previously, before the great devastation, this world certainly existed. Ashad Uttara Pralayante api Bhavishyati. And after the next great devastation, certainly it will exist. Iti, what is this? Ape. Ape, what is this? Something wrong here. Pralayante api. Pralayante api. Okay, Bhavishyati. Iti. न मिथ्या भूतत्वम. So it is not false. किंतु नश्वरत्वमेव इति भाव. It is not false in nature. Rather, it is temporary. 14, okay, 13. There is a systematic schedule for the perpetual manifestation, maintenance, and annihilation of the material world as stated in the Bhagavad Gita. Bhuta grama vimukritnam avasham prakritir vashat. As it is created now, and as it will be destroyed later on, so also it existed in the past, and again will be created, maintained, and destroyed in due course of time. Therefore, the systematic activities of the time factor are perpetual or eternal and cannot be stated to be false. The manifestation is temporary and occasional, but it is not false as claimed by the Mayavadi philosophers. 14. Sargo navidhastasya prakrito vaikritastu yah kala dravya gunairasya trividha pratisankramaha. There are 9 different kinds of creations besides the one which naturally occurs due to the interactions of the modes. There are 3 kinds of annihilations due to eternal time, the material elements, and the quality of one's world. एवं सामान्यतः कालं निरूप्य उत्तराध्याये विशेषतः निरूपयिष्यन् तन्निमित्तं सर्गं विस्तरेण in detail. He wants to do that. What? Am I audible? Hare Krishna. Can
Yes,
anyone
yes,
hear?
bro. Yes, bro.
Okay. Okay. Then, because in the next chapter he is going to describe it in detail, he is now presenting a summary description of creation. See, there are 2 different things here. One is time and the other is creation. Creation he has described sarga. This is not visarga, sarga. He has described sarga in detail. But to make the subject matter clearer, he now presents that under 10 phases. In brief, he puts it all together here. Yastu prakritah vaikritah cha sa dashamah iti sheshah. So there are 9 types, but there is actually a 10th one also. That these nine types are there. And then there is a 10th one also. That will become clear later on. Tannimittameva trividham pralayamaha. And for the same purpose of clarifying the nature of time, he also talks about three types of dissolution. Kalena eva kevalena nityaha pralayah dravyena sankarshana adina naimittikah gunaiha swaswa karyam grasadbhi prakritikah. Three types. One is pralaya, dissolution. This is one type of destruction, the devastation of uh, of the universe simply by the force of time, and it happens constantly, happens on a daily basis. Then you have another type, um, the fire that comes out of Sankarshana's mouth and so on. You have a uh, naimittika pralaya, occasional devastation, because certain ingredients are all destroyed. That uses certain ingredients like the fire that comes from Sankarshana's mouth. Then you have a third type of destruction, prakritika. This destruction is called prakritika. And what is that? That is at every moment, naturally, by the force of the three modes of material nature. Um, the effects keep on destroying. So it is continuously it's destroying. The scheduled creations and annihilations take place in terms of the supreme will. There are other creations due to interactions of the material elements which take place by the intelligence of Brahma. Later, these will be more explicitly explained. At present, only preliminary information is given. The three kinds of annihilations are due to the scheduled time of the annihilation of the entire universe, due to a fire which emanates from the mouth of Ananta, and due to one's qualitative actions and reactions. That means, okay, that's all. 15. Adyastu mahdas sargo guna vaishamyam atmanah. Dvitiyastu ahamu yatta dravya jnana kriyodayaha. Of the nine creations, the first one is the creation of the Mahatattva, or the sum total of the material ingredients, wherein the modes interact due to the presence of the Supreme Lord. In the second, the false ego is generated, in which the material ingredients, material knowledge, and material activities arise. Taneva sargan vibrinoti. So now he elaborates on these different creations, different phases of creation. Adya ityadina yavat adhyaya samapti. From the current verse up to the end of this chapter. Mahataha lakshanam atmanaha parameshwarat sakashat gunanam vaishamyam prathamaha. So the first of these sargas, or the first creation, that is the Vaishamya, the imbalance of the three modes of material nature, which comes from the Supreme Lord. And this is the characteristic of Mahatattva. Ahamaha ahankarasya tasya lakshanam yatra iti. So then you have the second creation. The second creation is the creation of false ego. See, ahamaha ahankarasya, and that is now characterized here. Dravyani bhutani jnanani jnanendriyani devata manascha kriyaha karmendriyani tesham udayaha yataha saha. So when ahankara now arises, the second stage of creation, the five gross elements, the knowledge acquiring senses, the demigods who control them, the mind and the uh, karmendriya, so the working senses, all of them arise. The first emanation from the Supreme Lord for material creation is called the Mahatma. The interaction of the materials modes is the cause of false identification or the sense that a living being is made of material elements. This false ego is the cause of identifying the body and mind with the soul proper. Material resources and the capacity and knowledge to work are all generated in the second term of creation after the Mahatattva. In these words, the word jnana indicates the senses which are sources of knowledge, along with those senses controlling deities. Kriya indicates the working organs and their controlling deities. All these are generated in the second creation. 16. भूतसर्गस्थितियस्तु तन्मात्रो द्रव्यशक्तिमान् चतुर्थ ऐन्द्रियः सर्गो यस्तु ज्ञान क्रियात्मकः. The sense perceptions are created in the third creation, and from these the elements are generated. The fourth creation is the creation of knowledge and of working capacity. भूतसर्गः तन्मात्रः तन्मात्रात्मकः द्रव्येषु तन्मात्रः तन्मात्रात्मकद्रव्येषु महाभूतेषु शक्तिमान् तत्प्रकाशनसामर्थ्यश्च इत्यर्थः. So this is actually talking about the third creation. The third creation, in that you have the creation of the tanmatras. So they are capable of revealing the mahabhutas. Mahabhutas are the gross elements. Jnana karmendriyanam atma swarupam yataha. That is the chaturtha, fourth. Jnana kriya. Indriya sarga, creation of the senses. Creation of the senses. That means it's a creation of the knowledge acquiring senses and the working senses. 17. Vaikariko devasarga panchamo yanmayam manaha shashtastu tamasas sargo yastva buddhi kritah prabho. The fifth creation is that of the controlling deities by the interaction of the mode of goodness of which the mind is a sum total. The sixth creation is that of the living entities darkness of ignorance, which makes the master act as a fool. So you have the fifth creation is Vaikarika, Devasarga Panchamaha. Satvika Hankara Sambandhi. So the fifth creation is related to Satvika Hankara. Devanam Indriya Adhishthatrinam Sargaha Yanmayam Manaha Manasaha Api Sargaha Tritiyaha Ityarthaha. So these are related to now the creation of the presiding deities of the senses. That is all part of the third creation. So the mind is also created at that time. Ete panchasarga pradhanika ukta. These five are referring to transformations of pradhana. Avidyakam sargamaha. Shashtastu iti. And then you have the creation of ignorance from the sixth. Tu bhinna upakrame. The word tu indicates that it is a different subject matter, but तमसः अज्ञानस्य सर्गः षष्ठः प्रभोः परमेश्वरस्य शक्तिः अबुद्धिः जीवमोहिनी या विद्यानाम्नि तया कृतः. So in the sixth creation you have that particular potency of the Supreme Lord which bewilders the living entities. That's what it is. Ayam artha. This is the meaning. Prathanam avidya vidya iti mayayastitro vrittayah. Maya has three extensions in the form of, or three features in the form of pradhana, avidya, and vidya. तत्र प्रधानेन महदादि पृथ्वीयन्तानि तत्त्वानि सत्यान्येव सृष्टानि यैः एव समष्टि व्यष्टिरूपाः जीवस्य स्थूलाः तया सूक्ष्माः च उपाधयः अभवन्. So it is through pradhana that you have the elements uh, from Mahatattva up to earth. And then these are real creations only. And these constitute both individually and collectively the gross and subtle designations of the jivas. Dvitiyaya avidyaya too. But then through the second feature known as avidya, jiva mohi antya, jiva sambandham avidya asmita, raga dvesha abhinavesha atmakam tamaha panchavidham ajnanam asatyameva srishtam. And through avidya, you have the creation of ignorance, which is actually false. It is of five types of ignorance: avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, abhinavesha. Ignorance, the sense of false possessiveness, the sense of false attraction, false hatred, obsession. These are all related to the jiva. And it is through this avidya potency that the jiva is being bewildered. Then, evam satyam mithyatmakam jagat idam pradhana avidyabhyam srishtam. So in that way, this world of the experience of the jivas, conditioned souls, it is created by the pradhana and avidya features of Maya, which is a combination of real and unreal elements. तृतीयया विद्यया तु पञ्चविध अज्ञान निवर्तकं ज्ञानं सृष्टं तच्च अग्रे विवृत्य व्याख्यास्यते. And then through the third feature of Maya known as vidya, knowledge, this is in the mode of goodness, which destroys these five types of ignorance: avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, abhinavesha. That is created. That will be elaborated later on in the commentary, in the Vyakhya. The demigods in the higher planets are called devas because they are all devotees of Lord Vishnu. Vishnu Bhakta Smritodaiva, Asurasta Viparya. All the devotees of Lord Vishnu are devas or demigods, whereas all others are asuras. Devas are situated in the mode of goodness or material nature, whereas the asuras are situated in the modes of passion or ignorance. The demigods or controlling deities are entrusted with departmental management of all the different functions of the material world. For example, one of our sense organs, the eye, is controlled by light. Light is distributed by the sun rays, and their controlling deity is the sun. Similarly, the mind is controlled by the moon, and all other senses, both for working and for acquiring knowledge, are controlled by different demigods. The demigods are thus assistants of the Lord in the management of material affairs. After the creation of the demigods, all entities are covered by the darkness of ignorance. Each and every living being in the material world is conditioned by his mentality of lording it over the resources of material nature. Although a living entity is the master of the material world, he is conditioned by ignorance, by the false impression of being the proprietor of material things. The energy of the Lord is called avidya. The energy of the Lord called avidya is the bewildering factor of the conditioned souls. The material nature is called avidya or ignorance, but to the devotees of the Lord engaged in pure devotional service, this energy becomes vidya or pure knowledge. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. The energy of the Lord transforms from Mahamaya to Yogamaya and appears to pure devotees in a real feature. The material nature, therefore, appears to function in three phases: as the creative principle of the material world, as ignorance, and as knowledge, as disclosed in the previous verse. In the fourth creation, the power of knowledge is created. The conditioned souls are not originally fools, but by the influence of the avidya function of material nature, they are made into fools, and thus they are unable to utilize knowledge in the proper channel. By the influence of darkness, the conditioned soul forgets his relationship with the Supreme Lord and is overwhelmed by attachment hatred, pride, ignorance, and false identification. The five kinds of illusion that cause material bondage. What is the fourth? Yes, the fourth creation is creation of knowledge. Okay. Then 18. Shaddime prakrata sarga vaikritanapi me shrinu rajo bhajo bhagavato lile yam harimedhasaha. All the above are the six natural creations by the external energy of the Lord. Now hear from me about the creations by Brahma, who is an incarnation of the mode of passion and who, in the matter of creation, has a brain like that of the personality of Godhead. Okay, just give me a minute. Let me see this. What is this verse? This is 18, 16, 17. Okay. प्रकृते माया शक्ति सकाशात जाता. What is जाता? प्रकाशात जाता. Wrong. Jata iti prakrita imesha. So these six creations have come about from Prakriti, which is the Maya Shakti, and therefore they are referred to as the Prakrita creations. Vikriti samashti virat brahma tasmad jatan vakshamanan api me mattah vaikritan ityetat vivranoti. Vikriti is the source of the word Vaikrita, and that Vikriti refers to uh, Lord Brahma, who represents all the who represents everything in the universe. He's the collective universe himself. So from him, I'm going to talk about it. Rajo Bhajaha Brahmarupasya Harihi Medhayam Yasya Tasya. Brahma has the Supreme Lord in his intelligence while he is doing this creation. Okay, there's something in the chat box. Whereas the asuras are situated in the modes of passion or ignorance, human beings are also called asuras. Human beings are not called asuras. Human beings are human beings, manushyas. They're also situated in modes of passion or ignorance. Only, what does that mean?
So, living beings, human beings also situated in only mode of passion and ignorance. No, so they also should called as asuras then.
And there are different mixtures here. The asuras, they are situated in passion or ignorance in a particular manner, and they have that body of an asura. Human beings, those souls who certain due to piety attain a human body, they have the body of an asura, but they may have the mentality of an asura. They may have the body of a human being, but the mentality of an asura. So we refer to them as asuric in nature. Asura prakritayaha, asura prakriti. They have an asuric mentality. But these asuras, generally speaking, they have the gross body of an asura and also they have the mentality of an asura. They're full-fledged asuras. Whereas these human beings who have asuric mentality, after they die, they will attain the species of asura also. They will become asuras, full-fledged asuras. So there's a lot of distinctions regarding these different species of life. Rakshasa is a different species. Asura is a different species. Preta is a different species. Like that, a lot of details there.
Yes, Prabhu. So here in this verse, the 18th verse, it is mentioned Yogamaya helps the pure devotees. So those who are not pure devotees, for them, for advancing in devotional service, she helps them also.
They get the influence of both the Mayas, those who are not pure. That's all.
Okay.
19. सप्तमो मुख्य सर्गस्तु षड्विधस्तस्तु शांचय वनस्पत्योषधि लता त्वक्सारा वीरुधो द्रुमा. The seventh creation is that of the immovable entities, which are of six kinds. The fruit trees without flowers, trees and plants which exist until the fruit is ripe, creepers which need support, pipe plants, creepers which need no support, and trees with flowers and trees. Sthavara, स्थावर जंगम आत्मकस्य जगतः स्थावराणां प्राथम्यात् मुख्ये प्रथमे भवः मुख्यः. Amongst the creation of the immobile, sthavara means non-moving. The non-moving and moving creatures of the universe. The creation of the non-moving living creatures comes first. Yes, tastusham sthavarana pushpam vina phalayantah vanaspatayah. Here, vanaspatis refer to fruit trees without flowers. Oshadayah phala paka antaha. And the oshadis, they refer to the ones that exist until the fruit becomes mature, fruit becomes ripe. Lataha, arohana peksha, lata, creepers. These need support in order to climb, in order to rise up. Twaksara, venvadeha, these are pipe plants like the bamboo. Pipe plants means plants which are hollow, which inside have a hole. लता एव काठिन्येन आरोहण अपेक्षा विरुद्धः. And then when you are talking about creepers, who are stiff, then they are known as virudas. So they do not actually uh, require support. But I think something is wrong with this. Wait, let me see. What is this? This is 19. 19, 19, 19. लता एव काठिन्येन आरोहण अनपेक्षा आरोहण अनपेक्षा. पुष्पैरेव फलन्तः द्रुमाः. And then the drumas are trees which give fruits but which also give flowers. Rather, you can say that they give fruits through flowers. 20. Utsrotasas tamahpraya antasparsha visheshinah. All the immovable trees and plants seek their subsistence upwards. They're almost unconscious, but have feelings of pain within. They are manifested in variegatedness. Tesham sadharanam lakshanamaha. The common characteristics of all of them are described here. Ursum srota ahara sanchara yesham te. Their movement for food is upwards. Tamah praya, avyakta chaitanya. They are tamah praya. Their consciousness is not manifest or not evident. Antasparsha, antaha cheda eva vyatha anubhavinaha. They feel pain when they are cut. विशेषणः अव्यवस्थितप्राणामाद्य अनेकभेदवन्तः. Their sizes are not fixed, and they have their transformation sizes are not fixed, and there are so many different varieties in how they are. 21. तिरश्चाम् अष्टमः सर्गः सोऽष्टाविंशद्विधो मतः अविदो भूरि तमसो घ्राणज्ञात् हृदयवेदिनः. The eighth creation is that of the lower species of life, and they are of different varieties, numbering 28. They are all extensively foolish and ignorant. They know their desirables by smell, but are unable to remember anything within the heart. And then you have the what is this? Tirasaha. Tiraschaha. Tiryak srotasam. Avidaha. Swastanadi jnanashunya. This eighth creation, they move horizontally. Avidaha. They're devoid of knowledge of today, tomorrow, future, past, present, future. This is very terrible. No? You don't even know past, present, future. No sense of that. Bhuri tamasaha. Aharadi matra nishthaha. They extensively in ignorance. They simply want to engage in the activities of eating and so on. Granagyaha. Granena eva ishtam artham jananti. They understand what they want by smell. Hridi avedinaha. Dirgha anusandhana shunyaha. Alpa paramashaha. They cannot deliberate. They don't have foresight. Let me say like that. They do not think carefully. Tatha Shruti, and then there is a statement from the Shruti. Athetaresham Pashunam Ashanapipase Eva Abhivigyanam na Vigyatam Vadanti na Vigyatam Pashyanti na Vidu Swastannam na Loka Lokaviti. So they do not know amongst these are other types of animals which have only eating, drinking as their life. That much knowledge they have. They do not speak what they think. They do not see what they think. They don't verify. They don't inspect. They don't check. They don't nothing. They do not know anything about tomorrow. They do not know anything about the current life, next life, and all that. Yadva, alternate meaning. Bhuri tamasaha. Bhuri tamasaha. Bahu rushaha. Extreme anger, great anger. Ghraneneva jananti. Hridyam prati. Swapriyam vastu eva vindanti. So they only know through their smell that which is dear to them. Bhojana shenadhyartam grihnanti. They accept whatever is favorable for their eating, sleeping, and so on. That's all. In the Vedas, the symptoms of the lower animals are described as follows. Athetaresham, Poshunam. 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 Ashanapipase. Eva. Abhivigyanam. Na vigyatam vadanti, na vigyatam pashyanti, na viduhu swastanam, na lokalokaviti. This is actually separate. Vishwanath Chaturthi. यद्वा भूरितमसु बहुरुषः घ्राणेनैव जानन्ति हृद्यं प्रति स्वप्रियं वस्तु एव विन्दन्ति भोजनशयनाद्यर्थं गृह्णन्ति. Lower animals have knowledge only of their hunger and thirst. They have no acquired knowledge, no vision. Their behavior exhibits no dependence on formalities. Extensively ignorant, they can know their desirables only by smell. By such intelligence only they can understand what is favorable and unfavorable. Their knowledge is concerned only with eating and sleeping. Therefore, even the most ferocious lower animals, such as tigers, can be tamed simply by regularly supplying meals and accommodations for sleeping. Only snakes cannot be tamed by such an arrangement. 22. Gaurajo Mahishah Krishna Sukaro Gavayo Ruhu Vishapa Pashavasheme Avir Ushtrascha Sattama. O purest Vidura of the lower animals, the cow, goat, buffalo, Krishna stag. It's a kind of stag, it's a kind of deer. Hog, Gavaya, animal, deer, lamb, and camel all have cloven hoofs. Dharmadma Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhupada writes that a snake cannot be tamed by these arrangements of making them sleeping, giving them food and making arrangements for their sleep. But we see that in the modern world, especially in the Western world, the people who have snakes as their pet. So, I mean, Hare Krishna.
Okay, only now I can hear you.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Prabhupada writes that in the last purport, in the last line, that only snakes cannot be tamed by making arrangements for their sleep and food. But you see, especially in the Western world, that people have snakes as their pet. They give them food, nice place for their sleeping, and they keep snakes as their pet.
No, there must be different types of snakes. There must be different types of snakes. All types of, because snakes, there are also certain varieties of snakes which are simply ferocious. That is a known fact.
Cobras also, they keep cobras. Another ferocious snakes also has their pet.
But in general, they are not pets. No.
Yeah, in general, they are not. In general, tigers are also not pet.
But it is easier to tame tigers. We see in the circuses and all, they have different creatures. Generally, they don't have all these snakes and all that. So definitely there's some gradation there. Snakes have to be singled out because in Vedic scriptures also we come across sadhurapi modeta vrishchika sattva hatya. Scorpion, snakes have been singled out. No? They are not. They are not as docile as all these other creatures. Even lions, tigers, and all typically they are kept in circuses and so on. But potentially extremely violent creatures like scorpions, poisonous snakes. These are all some things which I myself used to wonder. Some snakes are poisonous by nature. Some snakes are not poisonous actually. That is also there. This can be understood to be a general statement. As a general statement, it is certainly correct. Okay, let's move on. Cloven hooves. cloven hoofs. Gavade, Ushtranta, Dvishapa, Dvikura, Nava. So these 9, they have, their hooves have 2 parts. Avihi, Meshaha, Hradeha, Chamaryaha. There's Khara. Khara is not yet here. Let's move. 23. Kharoshvoshvat Tarogaura, Sharavas Chamari Tatha. Ete Chaika Shapak Shapta, Shanu Panchan Khan Pashun. Horse, mule, ass, Gaura. Gaura means a white deer. Sharabha bison and wild cow all have only 1 hoof. Now you may hear from me about the animals who have 5 nails. Karadayaha, Chamaryaha, Taha, Ekashapha, Shat. So these are 6. These 6 belong to one group. Shwa, Shwadaya Bodhastha, Panchanakaha, Dwadasha. We are going to come across that now here. 24. Shwashrigalo, Vrkovyagro, Marjara, Shashashallakau, Sinha, Kapir, Gajahkur, Mo, Godhacha, Makaradaya. The dog, jackal, tiger, fox, cat, rabbit, porcupine, lion, monkey, elephant, tortoise, alligator, gosapa, lizard, etc. all have 5 nails in their claws. They are known as panchanakas, or animals having 5 nails. So this is a class having 12 members. Evamete Stalachara Saptavimshati. So in that way you have 27, which move on the land. 25. What are these ones? Okay. Kanka, Gridhra, Bakashena, Bhasa, Bhaluka, Barhinaha, Hamsa, Sarasa, Chakrahva, Kako, Luka, the Yakhaga. Okay, these are birds. The Hiran, Vulture, Crane, Hawk, Bhasa, Bhaluka, Peacock, Swan, Sarasa, Chakravaka, Crow, Owl, and others are the birds. Makaradaya Jalachara. Shark and others are aquatics. Kankadaya Sthalachara. Kanka. These are all land animals. These are land animals. Ete Makaradaya Ekvidhatvena eva vipad. What is it? Vyupadishta? What is it? Vyupadishta? Wait. This typing mistakes. We have to face this problem constantly. Ekvidhatvena Vyupadishta. It's here also. Tadevam Ashtavinshati Bheda Gavadayah Teshu Ruru Krishna Gaura Mruga Vishesha Anyesham Api Tiryak Praninam Yathayatham Eteshu Antarbhavaha. So in that way there are 28 varieties beginning with the beginning with the cow. Amongst them Ruru, Krishna and Gaura. These are 3 types of deer. Anyesham Api Tiryak Praninam Yathayatham Eteshu Antarbhava. The others, they do not, they have the other Tiryak pranis, other animal beastly creatures, they have to be appropriately placed inside these appropriate subcategories. Arvaksrotastu navama, Kshattareka vithunanam, Rajodhika karmapara dukhecha sukamahaninaha. The creation of the human beings who are of one species only and who stock their eatables in the belly is the ninth in the rotation. In the human race, the mode of passion is very prominent. Humans are always busy in the midst of miserable life, but they think themselves happy in all respects. Arvak, adha, ahara sanchara, yes, arvak srota. The food is distributed downwards in the body of human beings. So this is the creation of this. These all belong to the ninth category. Rasvatvam arshyam nrinam lakshanam raja ityadi. The characteristic of human beings is spelled out in the second half of the verse. Yes.
There are people who say that if you see in the scriptures also, the lower animals came first, and then gradually like human and all those things.
The
So they
lower
say,
animals were created first.
yeah, created first. Sorry. So they say that if you see according to that way, so Darwin is not wrong.
No, Darwin says there is no creator.
But I mean, they agree that there is creator, but they have this philosophy. They were created first, and then the human beings. Like
That's
that.
okay. What can who says the opposite? I think the Bible also has something like that only.
So, so they say that so in that way, if you see that the Darwin also, I mean, he says that it came from evolving and all those things. So it might have been that the evolution came like that. Scripture says it is created, but it could be the evolution.
Not only here, you look at the Jewish scriptures, Christian scriptures, Islamic scriptures, you look at our Vedic scriptures. Each one were separately created. No, there are 9 phases of creation. This is the ninth phase of creation. This is the ninth phase now. Isn't this the ninth? Human is ninth now. Yeah, Navamaha. This is the ninth phase of creation. So Brahma is creating each one, no? It's creating each one. It's not that the lower creation itself modifies into the upper creation, no. Each is separately created. A typical example used both by Darwinists and anti-Darwinists. How car companies make cars. They release different models, no, every few years. So each model is a different species. And when you make a new model, you usually take the template of the old one and modify it and make the new model. But in either case, the older model is itself is not that too without any creator, without any intelligent being. It itself is not modified into the newer model. No, cars don't evolve, except in science fiction maybe. Separate creations, no. All these other religious people talk about separate creations. They're all separately created. God created them, and then God created this, and then God created that. Repeatedly, they say. Here also, we see Brahma created this first group, then the next group, then the next group, then the next group. Separately, Brahma is creating each one. The only thing you can say, the sequence appears to match with this evolutionist concept. That much you can say. But even here, it's not exactly like that because first the demigods were created. Demigods are superhuman beings. So first demigods were created. Then afterwards, the lowest of the animal species, they are created. Not even animal, I think before that, the trees and all were created. And then comes these birds, animals, then comes human beings. So it is not, some similarity is there, but some dissimilarity is also there.
They do not take demigods and all those things in their conception. I mean, when they see that just the lower animals and the human beings, so they just take all those things. Likes of Nityanand Mishra.
We are supposed to be discussing pure topics of Srimad Bhagavatam. So let me get into the purport here. The human being is more passionate than the animals, and thus the sex life of the human being is more irregular. The animals have the due time for sexual intercourse, but the human being has no regular time for such activities. The human being is endowed with a higher advanced stage of consciousness for getting relief from the existence of material miseries. But due to his ignorance, he thinks that his higher consciousness is meant for advancing in the material comforts of life. Thus, his intelligence is misused in the animal propensities, eating, sleeping, defending, and mating instead of spiritual realization. By advancing in material comforts, the human being puts himself into a more miserable condition. But illusioned by the material energy, he always thinks himself happy, even while in the midst of misery. Such misery of human life is distinct from the natural, comfortable life enjoyed even by the animals. So these are all special problems within the society of human beings in contrast with the societies of these animals and lower creatures. 27. वैकृतास्त्रय एवैते देवसर्गश्च सप्तम वैकारिकस्तु यः प्रोक्तः कौमारस्तु भयात्मकः. Oh good Vidura, these last three creations and the creation of the demigods, the 10th creation, are Vaikrita creations, which are different from the previously described Prakrita, natural creations. The appearance of the Kumaras is both. Eti Trayaha Vaikrita eva. So these three are Vaikrita creation. Devasargascha Vaikritaha. And then the creation of the Devas, that is the 10th. Oh, so the Tattvika Devas, they come before. Then you have all these trees, and birds, and aquatics, and human beings. Then we come to the Devasarga, which are the superhuman beings. So it looks like the Tattvika Devas are vastly superior to even these demigods. They are presiding deities of the elements themselves. Prakritaschaka iti apekshayamaha yastu vaikarikaha vaikarika ahankara bhavanam devanam sargaha prakriteshu proktaha. The creation of the devas is within the Vaikrita creation. Prakrita and Vaikrita. Prakrita is primary, Vaikrita is secondary. So who are these? These are the devas from Satvika Hanka. And they were described earlier. Punas teshameva brahma srishtatvad Vaikritascha. And then because they were created by Lord Brahma, the ones who were created by Brahma, they are part of the Vaikrita creations. तथा कौमारः सनत्कुमारः सनत्कुमारादीनां सर्गस्तु उभयात्मकः इति तेषां भगवद्ध्यानजन्यत्वेन मनसा अन्यांस्ततो सृजत् इति अग्रिमोक्तेः भगवद्ध्यानजन्यत्वेन this is भगवद् how many times it comes भगवद्ध्यान भगवज्जन्यत्वेन ब्रह्मजन्यत्वाच्च प्राकृतः वैकृतश्च इत्यर्थः. Now, when it comes to the creation of the Kumaras, it has both the features. It has the primary Prakrita feature and it has the Vaikrita secondary feature. Because we will see in a verse which will come a little later that Lord Brahma, he was meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then from his mind, he created the four Kumaras. Now, because they are created both from the meditation, because they're created by the meditation of the Supreme Lord, they are said to be, they're considered to be created by Bhagavan. But because they have come out of Brahma's mind, then they are said to be coming out of Brahma himself. So therefore, the creation of the Kumaras is said to come under both categories. It is mixed. Okay, we'll stop with that. 3.10.28. 3.10.28. Let's start next class with that. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyevacha पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः।